I'm sad.
It's about Charlie.
Yeah.
What do you think of Charlie's kids?
Let's see. Amy Gifford, she lives in our house in Islesford with her husband Will Palmer, and she's nice. But Sarah Gifford, I didn't like her. I can't remember why. She was very money hungry. And when Charlie died, she thought that being the daughter, she should get his money. And she even went to court. Of course, she lost. But she's like greedy, I guess.
He didn't have much money, did he?
He was a private school teacher, a math teacher. I don't remember how much money he had.
So where did his money go if it didn't go to Sarah?
Went to me, his wife.
And what about his son?
Andy Gifford was not. He and his wife Margot came to visit not too long ago. Were you here? So you met him. And if I'm not mistaken, I think she's the one who, whenever she'd come, she would put something on the table, food or something that she made. And Andy was so crazy about his father, he had him as his best man when he got married. And I remember he was always so jealous of Damien because when Charlie divorced Sally, he came to live with me.
So if you were going to die tomorrow, if you were going to pass on tomorrow, what would you want to have told me today?
What would I want? What?
If today were your last day on
I
Earth,
heard that part. What would I want?
What would you want to have passed on to someone today? What would you want to have said to me? Or to
pass on to you?
Yeah. Or to posterity.
What would you want?
Whatever is most important to you, whatever stories or songs or insights you have.
Well, stories and songs anybody could have, right?
But nobody could have the same ones that you have.
I don't know. I want to look at all those books, the hodgepodge and those. I don't remember them. I remember when was it you who used to say, "Tell me about my cousins"?
Mm-hmm.
And I got that book there. And I remember you getting such a kick. We mentioned it the other day about when Charlie was driving somewhere, and I don't know what the other driver did, but he said, "Blow it out your snoot." I was thinking of it before.
Blow it up your snout.
Blow it out. Blow it up. Pull it up.
Blow it out your snout.
Blow it out your snout, you.
Simple twit.
Oh yeah, you simple twit.
So what about the story about Gabe and...
Who?
Gabe and Julian and the vegetables.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
How does that one go?
Well, you probably could tell it.
I'd prefer to see you tell it.
Okay. I was cooking for them. They were sitting in the kitchen at the table, and Gabe says, one of them says, I don't eat vegetables, or something like that. The other one said, I don't like vegetables either, or something. No, I don't like vegetables. The other one said, I don't like vegetables either. And so, I'm so smart. So I take their plates, which had vegetables, and said, now, I don't want anyone to eat anything they don't like. Wasn't that clever? And they said, we can eat what we don't like if we want to. I'm so impressed with me.
You're pretty impressive.
Except there's a word for people who are impressed with themselves, I guess. I don't know what it is.
I'm sure there's a Yiddish word for that.
Oh, I don't know what the Yiddish word is, but I think conceited is something egocentric. I don't know.
You know the Yiddish word for yuppie, which is kind of similar. Like somebody who's made a lot of money.
Is that what a yuppie is? A newly rich person?
Yeah. An all right Nick.
I never heard. That's an English word with Nick added to it.
All right Nick. But it's also somebody who is satisfied with him or herself.
Remember the time I asked my mother how you say upstairs in Yiddish?
How's that?
Upstairs.
Upstairs.
My mother was very funny sometimes.
There's a wonderful book called The Joys of Yiddish, which has...
I think I used to have it.
Oh, it's fantastic. It has definitions of all these Yiddish words. And
Don't
then,
I have it? Oh, I'd love to have it.
yeah, I can look for it.
Okay.
Might have it at the library. And the definitions of the words often come with a little story or joke or anecdote about Yiddish. So there's the word alrightnik, which means like a yuppie, like somebody who has money but has no culture and has no perspective on life, just money.
That.
And then the opposite of an alrightnik is, I think the word is babechla, something like that. Babechla. It means like No, it's babe. It's something like that. It means honest, like an honest, humble Jew. It's the opposite of an all right Nick, a humble Jew. And there's a joke about the humble Jew, which is that there was someone visiting a Texan, someone from Texas visiting Israel, and the Texan was walking in the desert and saw a humble little Jewish house, and went in and asked the man in there for some water. He said, "May I have some water?" And the humble Jew said, "Oh yeah, here's some water. Help yourself." And the Texan said, "Thank you." And then the Texan asked the humble Jew, "Well, how much land do you have around your house?" And the humble Jew said, "Well, I have about 100 feet in the front and at least 150 feet behind my house." And the Texan sat back with the water and said, "At my ranch in Texas, I could get into my car at 9 in the morning and not finish driving and start driving and not be off of my property by 6 o'clock at night." And the humble Jew says, "Yeah, I've had a car like that too."
Why did I suddenly think of being on an airplane
I don't know.
while you were talking?
Because you went to Israel in an airplane? And the joke
No, I
was about
won't.
joke was about Israel?
I remember that, I always say that one story reminds me of another. I remember one time when I was talking on the telephone with Danny, and he had been to France.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you this story?
Mm-mm.
And I said, "Oh, Danny, I never thought I'd reach the age of 30 and not have been to France." He says, "Oh, Ma, go, and I'll pay for it." I said, "Well, I'm too busy right now. I'll go next year." He says, "Ma, you're going to be too busy next year." And then, meanwhile, I was studying with Rabbi, I forgot his name, and he was going to lead a group to Israel called Off the Beaten Path.
Uh-huh.
So I called Danny. I said, "Danny, I know where I want to go. I want to go to Israel." He says, "Ma, Sweden's about 10 times as safe as Israel." But Danny, I don't want to go to Sweden. So we went, and Charlie went too. And I remember he wrote a letter to Danny telling him how much I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
And
Danny paid for it.
what?
Danny paid for it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he wrote him a letter and thanked him for it. And I remember there was a group, this woman who had organized a trip. She was very, she didn't treat me nicely. And she wouldn't eat at the same table with me and things like that. So when we got to the bottom of the path at the Dead Sea, I guess, and I went in swimming, and you couldn't sink there. And when I come out, she says, they were talking about me, and she says, how old are you? We want to know how old you are. And I said, I only discuss age with friends. And you're right.